Talk to me about that timeline. What should we really be doing?
A lot of families and students will think that freshman year is when it begins, and it begins earlier than that. But luckily, I was connected with a mentor and a counselor to help walk me through what I needed to do in the college journey, that it's not just one size fits all anymore.
Welcome to the PAVED Blueprint, the official podcast by the team of PAVED by American Heritage School. Today, we have a very special guest, Miss Ludy Joseph, who is our Executive Director of Academic and College Advising. And we are so excited during this busy time of the year that she can come and speak with us today and really give us the guidance that we are looking for in the timeline. The timeline. When do I start? What's in the middle? When do I finish? That college timeline is key, and we're really excited to hear all of your knowledge in that today. So welcome.
Awesome. I'm so happy to be here. It is such an honor to get to shepherd families through the season when they are in such a position of anxiety, when they think through, I'm doing something wrong. And I'm here to remind them, if they are listening to this podcast, they are not doing anything wrong. They are in the right place at the right time. A lot of families and students will think that freshman year is when it begins, and it begins earlier than that. Course planning is such a crucial time with the whole college application timeline and journey. So depending on what courses a student is enrolling in ninth grade, they need to have those conversations as early as 7th and 8th grade, making sure that they're using their summers before high school to really set themselves up for success. So there is a different juncture for every student. And so let's start with the senior, right? So the senior's in the thick of it right now. They're getting ready to submit those applications and feeling like they need some help getting it looked over or not knowing how to comprise their essay and put things together. PAVED has an amazing resource to meet one-on-one with families and students on getting that every application dotted and T crossed so that students can work through all of the application components, whether it's their activity lists, their college essay, their honors and awards, what they should be putting on their application to make sure that their whole story is told, right? So they spent 4 years getting involved in different things, or maybe spending time working at a convenience store. How do they include that in their application? And that's such an important conversation to have with the family, with the student. Oftentimes I'm meeting with students and they think, oh, that's not important to include. Let's leave that out. And I'm like, absolutely not. Let's put that in there. So during senior year, we're at the book end of the experience. So meeting one-on-one with a PAVED counselor can really help a student buckle that down and put the application together. But junior year, we have a little bit more time to be crafty and creative for a student to explore their interest, right? And I was a student that just kind of went through life. I did things that brought me joy. I focused on connecting with my friends. I had a job. So college applications during my junior year, didn't even think about it. I didn't even know what school I was applying to. But luckily, I was connected with a mentor and a counselor to help walk me through what I needed to do. And that is exactly why PAVED was created. We would love to be able to have you have a conversation with a college representative to learn about their school. And how do you do that in your junior year?
Yes, I do remember telling my mom my junior year, I don't know, I have to take this thing called the SAT. I just showed up and took it. But as you said, life was so different and times have changed. And people like you and programs like PAVED have really helped pave the way for students.
Absolutely. And I think that's the goal. But sophomore year, oh, the door is wide open. I wish I could take every student back to sophomore year where they can explore, they can volunteer, they can dig deep into what their interests are. They can go out, they can succeed and fail. Because in your failures, that is where you find your successes and also where you find your passions. I can't tell you how many students are just afraid to fail and how many parents are afraid to let their students fail. But failure
Parents, you hear that? Parents, you hear that? You've got to let them fail sometimes. Especially
Failure
sophomore year.
growth.
Sophomore year.
Failure is growth. That's where they can dig into, I didn't do this well and why. I wasn't able to succeed at this and why. That may be a math class. That may be volunteering at a certain organization. That may be working with children. That may be the SAT or the PSAT. But in the failure, you can determine where your strengths are and also where your weaknesses that need to be improved. So parents, allow your students to try things that they're not great at in their freshman and sophomore year, because that's ultimately where they can learn what are my strengths.
Tell me more about those freshmen.
Oh, they're the
Starting a new school in some cases, so something that freshman year.
It's a big
Kicking
one,
off,
right?
Kicking off.
It's a big one. But what I will remind a freshman every single moment that I get is to breathe. Enjoy the moment, take inventory of what you need, ask questions. There are no bad questions that can be asked. Students need to ask questions because the more questions you ask, the more that your roadmap can be curated for you, right? So, what should I be preparing for? How should I be studying? How should I look into schools? What colleges should I, like and dislike? How do I know if I want to be far away from home or close to home? How do I know if I want to be in an online program? How do I know what I want to major in? Those answers only come with questions. And so asking questions to everyone that you're around, asking questions to your teachers and your instructors, their stories at one point included a high school season and a college season. So those are people that you can dial into and ask the right questions. So ultimately, you can end up not relying on Reddit, because that's such a thing today, right? Where all of my inventory, all of my information is coming from social media or from Reddit. And then what we are saying is there are resources and experts around you in your corners that have succeeded, that have lived lives next to you. And we want to help you navigate that journey appropriately.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Now, I heard you say before 7th and 8th grade, which a lot of times not every school is continued. So you're going to have different schools, different groups of kids. How do you connect that kind of college roadmap? And I don't think I knew anything other, what I could do or where I could go.
Yeah, and that's absolutely okay for a 7th or 8th grader to not have any idea of what they want to do. I think that is called normal, if that still exists today, right? So, and how can a parent and a student in 7th and 8th grade navigate this season? It's going out and exploring things together. Whether you're on a vacation, it's stopping by and seeing a college. Like, I'm going to X, Y, and Z state, fill in the blank. On my way there, let me stop in and see a college, because it's less formal, it's less pressure. You're just driving by, you're seeing the campus. And then later down, you could say, hey, remember when we were visiting so and so, we stopped by this college. How did you feel about that? Did you enjoy that town? We have good memories there. Is that something that you want to recreate when you're graduating in 12th grade? So little inventories and moments like that can really help. But also making sure that they're building mastery in course content. I can't tell you how many times a student comes in 12th grade and says, oh, I can't remember Algebra I. Algebra I components start in 7th and 8th grade. And so if you master them then, you've also mastered the SAT. That's a trade secret, just telling you now.
7th, 8th grade, ask those questions, explore, physically, hopefully, if you can get there, even ask questions, not only when you go places, but even in those classes to really better deep understand, as you said, Algebra I, because the more questions you ask, hopefully the more that you can retain for them. Now I'm starting my freshman year. I get to really think about those questions and put them into kind of more perspective for me. Now I'm a sophomore and I'm a little bit more ready to run. And now I'm maybe going to go talk to more counselors, maybe bring up a program like PAVED to assist me. And now my junior and senior year, focusing on those academics, really narrowing down my college search and really understanding, my whole path from 7th grade to 12th grade, it's that end result. I loved how you started with the end in mind. Yeah. It was funny because I really thought you were going to start with 7th and 8th grade, but you turned it and you were like, no, we're going to start at senior year. And I'm an educator, and we usually always say, what's the end? What's the end? What are we looking for in the end of this chapter, the end of this unit? I taught English. So I was like, and that's the best way. So knowing the end really helps you build that beginning and understand that timeline. And I think that's, excellent for these parents who are,
Yeah.
whether they're sitting here with a junior or a seventh grader. And there's still time, right? There's still
There
time.
is
So
still
if I am
so
a
much
junior,
time.
I'm a junior parent, I didn't do any of that stuff in seventh grade. I think the key is you didn't think you did,
Yeah.
because that's how I felt as a parent in this situation. My kids are already in college and one's graduated, but I'm sitting here thinking I didn't have this timeline,
Yeah.
but I did. It was there naturally. We did visit places. I remember going to UMass with my child, let's just stop there. So yay, but as you said, so it's
Yay.
not too late because you may have already done it. So really go back and look.
And there are some points in the timeline where some concerted efforts need to be made. If a student is saying, I want X goal, Y goal, where there needs to be more intentionality, there needs to be more coaching, there needs to be more handholding, and the roadmap needs to be curated so that I know what I need to do at every step of the journey. But a lot of that requires introspection, right? That's something that teenagers are afraid to do. They're afraid to think about who they are and what they contribute to the world. And I think the more that they understand, I contribute to the world. Pause, how do I contribute to the world? Whether that's as a peer in a class, whether that's as a student in a class, whether that's as a teammate on a field or a court, they contribute. So thinking and doing inventory, taking stock of what do I add to this world and how can I continue to add to this world? That would ultimately help them get to their goals of a highly selective institution.
And it could be a goal, really the goal of, some kids like, oh, I must go to Harvard, or I must
Yeah.
go to Florida State. I must, or want to do something with sign language,
Yeah.
because that could change, right? Maybe, school A is not your sign language school.
Correct.
And that's where those kinds of conversations are really understanding what you want, and then hopefully where you want to go kind of line up together.
And I think there are multiple matches for students when they think about the college process and the college journey, that it's not just one size fits all anymore, that you could find your fit at many institutions, but ultimately you are the one that are enrolling into college, right? The student is enrolling, not the parent. They've already gone, hopefully. Or if they haven't gone, they can support their student in understanding that I am the common denominator in all of this season and all of this timeline.
Wow, this has been amazing. Again, I do wish I can kind of turn back the time for my own, but it's okay. We are here today to help our listeners. And I'm really excited to do like a quick summary, key takeaways, so our parents can get all that and kind of summarize today's amazing time together. So give me a fast and short few keywords. I'm a senior. It's the beginning of the school year. What am I working on?
You're locking in. You
Lock
have
in.
to lock in, connect with someone, get some help, ask questions, get things done, finish your essay, get your resume put together, work on those activities, meet with someone to support you, connect with a PAVED counselor today.
Juniors.
All right, juniors, you're in the thick of it. You're feeling like it's coming on. You may not be thinking about it. Finalize those leaderships. Connect with your teachers that are going to be writing your letters of recommendation, because that's such a big part of completing an application. Make sure that someone is there to talk about your intellectual curiosity, how you learn, what you contribute in the classrooms. Finalize those clubs and activities that you are working. If you're in a job, keep working at that job. Don't quit. Finish strong.
Finish strong. Sophomores.
All right, sophomores, you're up. You're at that. And now is your turn to think about where your failures happened in ninth grade and what you're going to do differently, how you're going to have intentional conversations. You're going to visit virtually. You're going to connect. You're going to do what you need to do to learn who you are.
Freshmen.
You're out the gate. You're getting started. You're front and center. Go for it. Build the foundational elements that you need. Ask the right questions, fail, succeed, try, succeed, and ultimately you'll figure out more of who you are and what you want to contribute to the world.
And our middle school, junior hires.
Junior high, what a time to be alive. Continue doing what you're doing, investigate further, go out there, ask questions, volunteer, take classes that are risky, try summer things that are risky. Go and foundationally build on the math skills that are going to be needed on the SAT.
Excellent. Well, we cannot thank you enough for taking your time,
Mm.
in the height of the fall for you.
Yes.
I'm sure you have to get back to all of your amazing students as well. So we really appreciate and thank you guys for joining us on today's episode. And we really look forward to seeing you guys on our next adventure.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
This has been incredibly valuable. To help our listeners follow this advice, we've put all of this into a comprehensive year-by-year college application checklist. It's a free PDF. You can download it right now